Welcome to Childcare Rockstar Radio. I am your host, Kris Murray. Childcare leaders around the globe are breaking through challenges, leading the way in innovation, testing new best practices, and impacting children and families in a much more powerful and positive way than ever before. Each week, join me for interviews with early childhood leaders and experts that will leave you inspired to become the next childcare rockstar. Now, let's go. This is Childcare Rockstar Radio, episode 133, featuring Jodi McMaster. Hey folks, welcome back. I am Kris, your host, and I'm thrilled to welcome you back to Childcare Rockstar Radio. And this is the place where we cover all things childcare business and sometimes childcare development and teacher development. So we're focusing on things inside and outside of the classroom, and have been this summer more than normal in terms of inside the classroom. So today's episode is definitely an inside the classroom episode with the amazing Jodi McMaster, who is a true innovator, a teacher who saw a problem and created a solution called Circus Vowels. And we're going to learn all about that on this awesome episode. I wanted to kind of give you a sense of where we're headed this fall with the podcast. And this summer, well, over about the past 10 episodes or so, we have focused about 50% on pure business topics like hiring and increasing wages and marketing and enrollment and financials, all good stuff. And we've about 50% of what we've been talking about in these episodes has been social, emotional, teaching strategies, and ways to better support children and teachers and adults. And so just wanted to kind of reflect. And if you've missed either one category of those episodes, either the business focused or the non-business, more classroom focused stuff over the last 10 episodes, I just invite you to definitely go back into the podcast listing at childcaresuccess.com, click on podcast, and you'll see all the episodes there for your viewing or listening pleasure. Of course, also wherever you listen to podcasts. But coming into the fall here, just wanted to let you know that we are diving back into mostly a business-focused flow, and we're driving quickly to the Childcare Success Summit Conference, kicking off on the evening of October 19th. And so if you don't have your tickets to Nashville, you're definitely going to want to, because the ballroom is almost full. In fact, by the time that this episode releases, we actually already might be on waitlist status. So when the ballroom fills up, we go to waitlist, and you will have the opportunity to get on the waitlist. And then if somebody cancels their ticket, which invariably does happen, we'll go in order and you can secure your tickets. So that is where we basically are right now. And in order to get on the wait list, you just go to send an email to support@childcaresuccess.com. And Sarah at our support line will take care of you. So today's episode, we're going to be focusing on innovation in the classroom. And Jodi McMaster is an incredible innovator, a teacher that, again, taught so many kids that were having issues in learning how to read. And she created an incredibly innovative approach with her Circus Vowels product and her interactive reading kit to basically turn the vowels into characters. Brother, sister, mom, dad, different superhero related characters, and things that vowels, because vowels are where the kids typically have issues, not the consonants, understanding the relationship between vowels and words and how they play together, and sometimes how they fight together. And so this is an incredible innovation for teachers, especially if you have an after-school program and you're working with kids and you have a homework club. This is definitely a must-listen episode, you guys. So strongly invite you, and even at the pre-K or 4-year-old reading level, and even introducing children to words and letters in the threes classroom, these strategies can be used by teachers and by leaders. So strongly invite you to listen to the episode. And I think you're going to really love it because Jodi is just a love. She is a joy. She comes across as just this shiny people person, definitely passionate about teaching, and just has a great vibe. So I know you're going to love meeting Jodi here at Childcare Rockstar Radio. And me personally, here in early September, just got off of a really fun Labor Day 3-day concert here in Aspen Snowmass. Got to see Stevie Nicks and so many other amazing bands, some country music as well. And it was just incredible. And we've been having amazing weather here. Luckily, as you guys may know, the West is perpetually in a drought, and we have had a very wet summer, which is that's a huge blessing because we have not had any fires in or around where I live, certainly within a 100-mile radius of where I live. So it's been a wonderful, wet, and fun summer. And now here we are together in September, and can't wait to see many and most of you at the Childcare Success Summit in Nashville, our very first time going to Nashville. So I have my blingy boots, I have my really cool leather jacket, and I am ready to rock the show from main stage with all of our incredible main stage speakers. So looking forward to seeing you all there. And once again, you can go to childcaresuccesssummit.com and learn more and join the wait list. All right, let's dive in. Let's meet Jodi. She's an incredible human, and learn about Circus Vowels, innovation in the classroom. The final comment I have about this is that you can model this innovation. Take this lesson. How can you take what Jodi did with helping kids learn to read and innovate how you are leading, how you are teaching, and how you're doing classroom management? How the features and benefits at your preschool change lives? How can you add more value in? How can you innovate to bring a new level of newness, freshness, results, customer service, leadership, and so much more to the industry? So whatever your jam is, find your jam and figure out and ask yourself, how can I make this better? How can I use innovation to make a difference at a bigger level and play a bigger game? All right, let's meet Jodi, and let's dive in right here on Childcare Rockstar Radio. Let's go. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. This is Kris Murray, your host, and I am thrilled to welcome to today's episode Jodi McMaster. Jodi is the creator of Circus Vowels and the Circus Vowels Interactive Reading Kit. Jodi, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Enjoying the final dog days of summer. And as we were just talking about before we hit record, the back to school season, and my daughter just went back yesterday. So enjoying getting back to school.
Yeah, my kids start in a few weeks, so I'll be excited to get them back in school for sure.
I love the old flavor that we had when we were kids, which was more full 3 months off, right?
Right.
You don't really start back till after Labor Day. Come on, people.
Right. Exactly.
What is this mid-August stuff?
Yeah, I know. I saw some go back in the end of July. I thought, oh my Lord.
I know, that's crazy. In Atlanta, they start usually August 1st-ish. They start in Georgia. So it's crazy. Where are you? Where are you located?
I'm actually in Michigan. I live in Michigan, which is right in between like Detroit and Ann Arbor area.
Okay. And have you lived there? Ohio. Originally from Ohio, same.
Really?
So, yeah. So we have that in common. I'm from the Cleveland area, between Cleveland and Akron.
Okay, so I'm from Maumee, Ohio, which is like Toledo area.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Are you a Buckeye fan?
Moderately.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
I am a Buckeye fan, which is really difficult when you live in
Michigan country.
Ann Arbor, which is super close to Ann Arbor, which is University of Michigan, which is a huge rivalry. So I get some crazy looks when I wear my Ohio State gear out. That's for sure.
Well, go Buckeyes.
Yes, go Bucks.
Love it. Tell us a little bit about you. You are an educator, the creator of Circus Vowels. Just kind of give us a little bit of your backstory and your journey, if you will.
Yeah. So I went to school for elementary education and got that degree. My undergrad was in early elementary education. And then my master's was in math, which is really funny because I, as a child, I always struggled with reading. Like, it was always really hard for me to read. And so I never in my wildest dreams imagined that I would create something that would help kids learn how to read, because it was always such a struggle for me. So to be able to go down this journey is just crazy. But when I graduated from school, I went and taught kindergarten for 2 years. And then I taught first grade for 15 years. And so, and also through that and teaching kids how to read is when I wrote the book, Circus Vowels, the long and the short of it, and created the reading kit. And I've also presented the Circus Vowels reading strategies at several reading conferences, an international reading conference, and actually even been on the news a few times.
Really?
Yeah, and did a segment with my students. And yeah, so that was pretty entertaining. And, actually they've come in twice. And so my students have always loved having to be on TV. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, generally, and now last year, I actually left education and went to work for an ed tech company. So now I'm working with school districts to help boost their reading levels and test scores.
Okay.
It feels good. So instead of just going my little small class, now I can go district wide and help different schools. So that feels really good.
I love that. Mm-hmm. So what inspired you to create Circus Vowels? Tell us more about the story of that creation.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started teaching kids how to read, I noticed that they were really getting stuck on the vowels, and I couldn't figure out like a strategy to really help them. And when I looked on the internet, it was very much, well, if you have two vowels next to each other, there's this strategy. If you have a vowel, consonant, vowel, there's this strategy. And there was a strategy for every different vowel, consonant combination. So when I started teaching kids how to read, they would get stuck on a word and they would have to remember what little cutesy reading trick I taught them that goes that vowel consonant combination. So was it, two vowels go walking, the first one does a talking, is there a magic E? Well, the problem with that is that even if it takes them like only 15, 20, maybe 30 seconds to remember what strategy goes with that word, they've already lost interest. They forgot the beginning of the sentence. They're already starting to feel frustrated.
Right.
This can't be right. There has to be another way to teach reading easier. It can't be this difficult. So that's when I started thinking, I want to see if I can create one reading strategy that can be applied to all the different vowel consonant combinations. So the kids don't have to remember all those strategies. They can just remember one. And that's exactly what I did. I wanted to create a reading strategy that was relatable to kids. So I made the consonants moms and dads and the vowels are brothers and sisters. So the book goes along and tells them a story about the vowels and the consonants. So when they look at a word, they'll know exactly which vowel is going to make which sound within the word.
Okay.
I wanted to make it interactive because my feeling is I'm a very interactive teacher. And my feeling is if kids are engaged and they're in the lesson and their bodies are part of the lesson, they're going to learn it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wanted to make it something that they could teach other kids. So this way, because we know 90%, students will remember 90% of what they can teach others. So if students can teach if students can teach other kids this reading strategies, then they're going to remember it. And the kid that is learning is going to remember it because kids put words differently. They phrase things differently than we do, right? Like they put things down to the level. And so I love when I teach this in my class, inevitably, I always get emails saying, "Oh my gosh, you just taught my son these reading strategies, and he came home and taught his kindergarten sister." So it's very much a reading strategy where kids understand it, and they're able to teach it to other kids. And I also wanted, obviously, it to be one reading strategy that they can apply to all the different vowel consonant combinations.
Right.
So, and so that in my kit, I also created these letter vests so the kids can get up and act out the strategy so that they can remember it. Because again, if kids in lessons and you make them interactive, you make them part of it, they're going to remember the reading strategies.
Well, I love that. That is super powerful. And like how creative of you to see that and then think about making it related to characters in their family, and then just being able to put that out for the world of children learning reading is amazing. So how are you marketing this program? I'm just curious about how to help you get it out there in a bigger way, and certainly the audience of this podcast is going to help. I have a feeling. But
Absolutely.
because do you have a lot of people adopting it outside of Michigan? Tell me more about
So I do. I
how.
presented in many different states.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it's gotten out there.
Okay.
We're from like Iowa, Illinois, Ohio, all over Pennsylvania.
Cool.
So it's fun to kind of, get it out there. And, but marketing, I just use social media
Uh-huh.
mostly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's shift over
and the news.
podcasts, right? Fantastic. Yeah. I love that. Let's shift to learn a little bit more about what's going on at home for you. So do you have kids? What's going on at home? And do you have interests? Tell us more about your personal life.
I do. So I have a husband. We've been married for 17 years this past June. So that's exciting.
Yes.
And we have a 10 and a 12-year-old, two boys. We are a very active family. We're very outdoorsy. We enjoy all the things like, snowboarding, wakeboarding. We just got back from a trip to Tennessee. We did whitewater rafting, ropes course, all those kinds of like outdoor adventurous things, hikes and lots of swimming. So both my boys play sports. They play travel baseball and travel basketball. So that keeps us really busy. And then, mixed in there with a bunch of, camps and other little sports that they do, flag football, and those kinds of things. So yeah, we definitely enjoy being out and about and, just being outside. Even though that's the hard thing about living in Michigan is that in the winter, it's so cold.
Yeah.
Well, our feeling is that, hey, if you're going to live in a cold state, you better like cold sports, so we do wakeboarding and all, or snowboarding and those kinds of things. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you in a minute about your fun fact, but a fun fact about me related to you and just saying that is that I learned to ski at Boyne Mountain in Michigan.
Yeah. So, we go to Boyne all the time. Boyne Highlands.
Yeah. Boyne Highlands, Boyne Mountain. Yep. So it was kind of like embarrassing because I was 13 and I was taking never ever lessons with the other kiddos and they were all like 4 and I was 13. I was like mortified, but I learned it and I embraced it. And now it's my top sport. It's my favorite sport.
Good for you.
Snow skiing. Yeah.
Do you live in a cold state? Where do you live?
Yeah. I live in Colorado. So come on, I live in the mountains. I'm actually like 20 minutes from Snowmass, Aspen. So
yeah, you have no choice but to be a skier.
Exactly.
Colorado.
Yeah. So what is a fun fact that you would like to share?
So a fun fact about me is I am an adrenaline rush junkie. Probably matches my outdoorsiness and sportsiness. But I have actually been on a zero gravity flight. So a flight that, goes up in the air and then they take the airplane up and it's kind of gutted. Like there's some seats in the back, but the rest of it's all gutted. And then they cut the engine and kind of just like nosedive. So you get this feeling of like no gravity.
Right.
You just kind of float around. They gave us water bottles and we watched the water just fly up. They gave us like Skittles to throw at each other. And
oh my God.
It was probably one of the coolest experiences.
Yeah.
My mom was she's like, just call me the minute you land. I thought it was one of the coolest things I've ever done. It's just not something that everybody gets to do,
Right.
So it was pretty cool.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's super fun. I think I'd be a little bit scared to do that, but I'd give it a go. Why not?
Yeah. It was a little bit nerve-wracking. A lot of people were getting sick. I was happy that I was not one of the people getting sick.
And that's my big struggle, Jodi, is that I do get motion sick. So I would have to definitely take some good meds if I was going to try that.
Right. Yeah.
So we talked about what inspired you with Circus Vowels. Let's talk a little bit about specific use cases or success stories that kids have had. Is there, especially on the younger range, because we have people who own preschool centers as well as after school, before and after school centers listening in the audience. And with using your product, your method, have specific kids that have really gone from here to here in their reading. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you've helped?
Yeah, absolutely I can. So a general overall success story, and then I'll kind of go deeper down, but is because I have used these reading strategies, my entire class for the last 5 years when we in my classroom had done, statewide testing, like using like a state assessment.
Yeah.
My students have grown an average of 2 years reading growth in just one school year.
Wow.
And so I feel like it's because I've given them a tool to make reading easy.
Hmm.
We use arrows and X's in my program to kind of, really emphasize what vowels are going to make which sounds in the words. And I feel like, really that, I mean, that is a huge success story, I feel like, because I think, oh my gosh, and I hadn't had a student leave my classroom in a really long time, years. I can't even go back to years, but it wasn't on an IEP, reading below grade level.
Right.
And I really truly feel like it's because they know the Circus Vowels reading strategies, which also helps them with spelling. But one in
Yep.
particular student did kindergarten twice, which my son did kindergarten twice too. So it's not a lot of kids do kindergarten twice these days.
Right.
The Young Fives program, but
Yeah.
just a really, really struggling student. Came to me not even hardly knowing letter sounds, and then once we really honed in on that and got him right where he needed to be. And, of course, the parents are super worried and, oh my gosh. And, all those feels come with having a student that is,
Absolutely. Yeah.
really, really struggling, especially to read, because you
Hmm.
have to read to gain knowledge and, all those things. So we were able to get him reading at a second grade level by the end of first grade because we really worked with him diligently on knowing the letters, knowing the vowels, knowing the sounds. Because when kids learn to read, the consonants are easy, right? Like, N's going to say N and B is going to say B. But the vowels are all over the map. And how do we make that easy for kids?
Hmm.
And that was my goal, was to make it easy for kids.
Sure.
There's been so many students I feel like that have come in just so low, and we've just brought them up and you have to give them, celebrate them often and give them compliments and celebrate the little successes that they have. Even if they just read one word correctly, they couldn't read before, you really, really have to, celebrate the small steps that the kids make, not just,
Right.
oh, you made the whole reading level, like, oh, you read that word. Let's celebrate that,
Right.
making them feel good and making them feel confident is definitely something that will help them succeed for sure.
Yeah, well, I think that that's an insight and takeaway that anybody listening could use in an early childhood program as well, is celebrating those little wins for
Mhm.
children, you know?
Yeah,
I don't think we do enough of that in general. I certainly think as adults we don't do it enough
right.
too. But
Correct. Correct.
but yeah, I love that. That's
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. Well, and kids want to know that you believe in them.
Yeah.
If a kid feels like, well, my teacher doesn't think I'm very smart anyway, then they're not going to work hard. They're already feeling defeated. But if you go in every day with like a positive attitude and you give the kid compliments, even like those really hard kids, we all know those really hard kids,
Yes.
little thing that they're doing right,
Uh-huh.
"You pick up that toy, that was so great," and catch them when, they're not in trouble, catch them doing something really well.
Yeah, we had another podcast guest that talked about protective factors in dealing with resiliency and overcoming resiliency with kids. And she used to call that kid,
Mhm.
she named him. She's like, that was my Kevin.
Yeah.
So, my Kevin, thinking about the Kevins of the world, no offense if your name
Right.
is actually Kevin,
Right.
but that was like her representation of that child that needed extra love, extra attention.
Mhm.
And, but it's so rewarding
It is.
when you
It
can
feels
get,
so good.
yeah,
And actually, when I was teaching, I would request the low kids and the naughty kids. They're my favorites. I love the low ones because I am geeked to watch them learn to read.
right.
The passion of mine. So I
Yeah.
love that kid. I don't trust that kid with anybody else. Really.
Hmm.
It's like there is the real issue. And then the naughty kids, because they're just such a puzzle. And I just love working with them. And I feel like if you show them that you love them and that they, and you catch them doing good things, even when they're not, even when it's hard to find them doing,
Yep.
something good, they're going to be, oh, wow, she believes in me. She thinks I can do this. She thinks I'm
Right.
smart. Maybe I am. It totally changes their mindset. And they're too
Uh-huh.
young to be, have not have growth mindset yet. They're too young to have that like fixed mindset where I'm stupid. I'm not good enough. I'm a bad kid. They're too young for that. So
Right.
there's no reason that we as educators of young children should not be celebrating those little successes when it comes to reading or behavior or whatever the dynamic is. we just have to really be positive and celebrate them when we can, for sure.
Yes, I love that. And I love the growth mindset versus the fixed. I actually have a pretty cool infographic thing that I found during COVID that was all the things that your mind says to yourself when you're in a growth mindset versus a fixed. And it's like completely transformational to have that awareness.
Yes.
So
but they get that from us.
Yeah, they absolutely
that give them that growth mindset. We're
imprinting on them.
Yeah, we're in charge of that. So we need to take that seriously.
No, I love that.
And really celebrate those kiddos that struggle.
Yeah. So related to that, what's something that you've learned that you wish teachers and parents would know or would practice?
So I definitely feel like believing in your kids is something that they should celebrate. I also think for teachers, so for parents, I definitely think celebrating the little things, even if it's super little, you have to celebrate it.
Right.
For teachers, I feel like putting kids in the lesson is so crucial. Kids have got to be a part of the lesson. And I don't mean just like talking to them, like they need to be standing up. They need to be wearing, I create these letter vests that are in my kit. Kids need to be standing up, be part of the word, be part of the lesson. Like if everybody has a different letter on and let's say we're flipping out, we're practicing short vowel sounds, right? And we have the word cat up there. I'll say, okay, everybody has their vest on. Now, how can you get yourself wearing your letter into that word? And maybe the M stands up and is like, oh, I can get in there. And they can, walk up and then tap the C. The C sits down. Oh, now we have Matt. And then maybe the B is like, oh, I can get myself in there. I'm going to go up there, and, stand. We have the M. Now we have bat. Oh, the D is like,
fun.
As the T sit down, now we have bat. The A sits down. Now we have. You're making the kids stand up and physically move and putting them in the lesson. Right. And I really think that's where teachers miss the mark. I feel like we just lecture them and expect them to know, no, lecture is boring.
Right.
No kid wants to be lectured. They want to stand up. They want to be part of the lesson. They want to, even the kids that are reluctant and just sit there and are very quiet and don't participate a lot. Those kids end up getting in the lesson too, because they're like, oh, they don't have to say anything. Right? They can just get up and stand in the word and then they can sit back down. So if their kid doesn't really talk that much, that's okay. That's fine. But at least they're part of the lesson and they're going to feel that. So they don't even have to talk, but they can, use their body and they're engaged in their minds.
Yeah. I love that. I love the movement piece. I love the body piece and getting out of the head all the time and pulling in the movement of your body into it. That's game changer.
Right. And the way the Circus Vowels reading strategies works is, I'll give you a quick little explanation because it will make a little bit of the sound a little bit more understandable. But when we have one vowel in the word, it says it's short, quiet vowel sound. So you have, cat, okay, C-A-T. But if you have two vowels in the words, remember the vowels are brothers and sisters. The second one always pinches the first one and the first one yells its name. The second one doesn't say anything because he doesn't want to get in trouble. So I always say, so like if you have the word like team, the A would pinch the E is going to yell E, and the A doesn't say anything because he doesn't want to get in trouble. So, and I always say to the boys and girls, hey, do you ever pinch your brother or sister really hard? And when they yell, you get really quiet. Don't say anything. And they're like, yes. And I'm like, yes. Same with the Circus Vowels kids. That's what he does.
Right.
So then I'm like, then
cool.
Does your mom get really mad at you with the pinching? And they say yes. And I say, same with the Circus Vowels mom. She gets really mad too. So she sits between the word or between the two vowels. So like, let's say you have the word bike. Well, the E can still reach around the K and pinch the I. The I is going to yell I, and the E doesn't say anything because he doesn't want to get in trouble. Right. And then does the dad ever get really mad at you with your pinching? And they say yes. Same with the Circus Vowels dad. He gets mad too. So he goes and sits next to the mom between the two vowels. So like, let's say you have the word tablet, right? Now the E cannot, the second vowel cannot reach around the mom and the dad. It pinch the first vowel kid. So
interesting.
Back to saying their short, quiet vowel sounds. You get a-b-l-et, tablet. Now what's cool about putting the kids in words is that when they're wearing the letter vest, they can actually reach around and like pinch the vowel. Now we talk about like, we're not hurting each other here. We're not like trying to injure anybody in the learning of the vowels.
Yeah.
But we talk about like a squeeze, not a pinch, but the kids can actually get up and move around and act it out. So
Right.
it really helps them visually and
Yeah.
kinesthetically move around and get a feel for what the vowels are going to say in the word. So that's why I'm saying, like, when you can get up there and you can, change your vowels around, or like, say, even if you're doing like short vowels and you have the word like hat, right? And then you put an E at the end. Well, now we have hate, which isn't a really good example.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now we have,
Yeah.
so just like putting like letter vests on kids and putting a word up there and putting a vowel on the end and visually seeing how that vowel changes the whole word. And it's not me writing on the board.
Right.
It's not me saying, okay, this is, hat, we could change it, no, they have
Right.
to do it with
It's
their body.
them interacting.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
I
it.
feel like that's where teachers miss the mark, is a little bit too much lecture and not enough child interaction.
Yeah. No, and that's, especially for kids, like my son struggled with focus issues, technically ADHD, but then in 5th grade, we took him off his meds and he was, he's been doing fine. But in some cases, especially for kids that are on the borderline, is they just need to get up and move.
Yes.
Like, just let them move and do things and get up to the board, or have a bouncy ball that they can sit on, or, because it was just all that energy that needed to be, it needed to go someplace. So usually it would go with him going, messing with his buddy, and then he'd be put against the wall and made to feel bad.
Yeah.
So that was, not great.
We have to teach to all the learners, right? The ADHD, dyslexia, special ed, like we have to hit all those learners. And that's what I think about the reading strategies I've created, is it hits all those learners. Special ed teachers love working with these strategies because it gives kids concrete things to look at. There's also included in the book, like, how you can draw arrows and X's to know which vowel is going to make which sound within the word. So if a kid gets stuck on a word, slide them a slate and a marker, don't tell them, and have them write it out and draw the arrows and the X's. So they make that visual awareness. So the next time that word pops up, they already have that visual clue of what's going to be happening with the vowels in that word. So it makes more sense to them. But yeah, we have to teach to all the kids, not just like the mainstream kids that are going to get it.
Right.
So all the kids out there don't get it.
Yeah.
So we have to match them. We have to learn about how kids learn, and they don't learn sitting.
Right. And I think that is increasing too. The number of kids that, aren't the mainstream kids is becoming
Yes,
bigger.
the mainstream is starting to shift.
Yeah.
Much so.
So if you could go back in a magic time machine in your young life so far, what is one thing that you would go back and do differently?
I think I would learn a lot more about dyslexia. I feel like as I'm getting older and or as I'm, going into my career, I have learned so much about dyslexia, and it shocks me. While I know I created a product that is very good for dyslexic kids, there's a whole math side that, is.
Yes. Yeah.
But 1 in 10 children have dyslexia is what they're gauging, right?
Wow.
And I think I've taught like 500 kids.
Yeah.
And I have maybe 3 have been diagnosed with dyslexia. Like, I think we really, really missed the mark on dyslexia. And so I would love to tell my younger self, get familiar with dyslexia, learn all you can, because you're going to have a lot of kids that have it, and they're going to need your skills. So, and dyslexia is now coming up more and more and more. We have more testing for dyslexia, and we can help more kids with it. So, I think, just learning about that piece, I think would be really important.
I didn't know that 10% of kids have it. That's a huge stat.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I've even seen like 20%. It's in some statistics. It goes between 5 and 20%. So it's like, it is a huge chunk of kids, and we don't know a lot about it. At least educators don't, I don't feel.
Right.
So I think we really, really missed the mark there.
Yeah. Let's talk about resources. What are some of your favorite books, either education focused or non? What do you love that's inspiring you?
All right. Well, I have a 10 and 12-year-old.
Okay.
And my 12-year-old, very simple to raise. You just, firstborn, easy, go with the flow.
Yeah.
My younger one.
Not so much.
Well, it's a second child.
There's always one. Mine was the older one. So anyways, yes.
Oh my gosh. So I have Well, I read Teaching with Love and Logic when I first became a teacher.
Yep.
And then when I was struggling when my son was about 2 and things just were not going very easily, I started reading Parenting with Love and Logic. I read the toddler, they've got teen, past teen, I'm not there yet, but I could not emphasize more how much help it has given me, how much it has changed me as a parent, how much it changed my relationship, with my kids as far as like how I was parenting and how I'm parenting now.
Right.
It is just, I would encourage anybody out there, any little struggle, even if you don't really struggle, Parenting with Love and Logic is so smart, and it helps your kids grow up with confidence and with knowing that they're loved and just being able to make lots of choices. It talks a lot about, giving choices when they're good. So
Yes.
even like, do you want the blue bowl or the red bowl? Like always giving them choices. Do you want to sit on the left side or the right side? Do you want, all those kinds of things, so that when they are naughty and they are making a bad choice, you can say, you know what? You can choose to go to your room, or, whatever your other choice is. And
Right.
so they're used to it. It's not just doesn't come down to when they're being, not making good choices at all.
Right.
So that would be one resource where I put my whole heart and soul. Anytime someone's like, I'm having fun with my kids, I'm like, read Love and Logic. Read Love and Logic. Even in my ed tech job now, there's a Zoom channel, and it's just it's called Working Moms. And so it's just all moms on there. And I can't even tell you how many times I post the link to the books, because they're so, and I don't get frustrated. I don't get angry. I don't yell, because these strategies work.
I used to listen to those DVDs in the car.
Yes.
They're also, of course, I'm sure they have a podcast and other resources, but
they do.
The audio component is great too.
Yeah.
So, love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've listened to a few of those too. It's so good. It's just,
it's good.
It's relevant.
Yes.
And it's something you can use just like that. You don't have to create anything. You don't have to make charts or,
Right.
Another one. Have you ever heard of bucket fillers?
I have heard of that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Love, especially for early childhood, the bucket filler concept about how everybody walks around with an indivisible bucket. And when you say kind things to kids, you are filling their bucket. When you say mean things to kids, you're emptying their bucket. And so in our family, we talk a lot about, was that a bucket filler? Were you being a bucket filler? Or were you being a bucket dipper? How do you think those words affected the person that you were talking to? Do you think that filled the bucket, or do you think it ducked in their bucket? So, and I use that a lot with my first graders. And it has just been one of those things where even my friends use it, because they've heard me say it so many times. And they'll say to their kids, are you being a bucket filler? So that is a resource that I just think is amazing for especially early educators.
Yes. We have several clients that are using that in their preschools.
Oh, do they?
I love that.
So good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Really good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then another one I really love, I use in the classroom a lot, and actually I use it home too. I just hook it up to my TV, is Go Noodle.
I don't know that one.
Go Noodle is amazing.
Go Noodle.
So it's got a bunch of just videos on there, and some of them are a little bit longer, some of them are shorter, but they're like yoga for kids. It's all kids videos. Some of them are like running in place, or, brain breaks are in there. Let's see what else. There's dances and all dances. So you dance along like with the characters, and they just have a whole tons of different videos in there just for numbers or letters or whatever you want to do with your students. But it's really good just to get them active and get them moving. Like I said, I was an interactive teacher, so I like doing activities where kids are moving their bodies and they're, singing and stuff like that. So.
Right. Awesome. Love those. Thank you. Those are great.
Yeah.
How can people learn more about Circus Vowels? How can people go and invest in that?
Yeah, so you can definitely go to my website, which is circusvowels.org. And on there right now, I have a free webinar that I have created that kind of explains the reading strategies and how they work and how you can use them in your classroom and why they work, right? Because it's not just that they work and that I've seen all the success with them, but it's also why it works, because kids can explain it to other kids because they're interactive, and so, we'll have has a lot of like little tidbits in there, and We talked about the OU being the meanest vowels, and the O and the U, like for our students, I put on boxing gloves, and we have them boxed. Like if we're using the word south, we say, and then the O and the U will use their boxing gloves and hit them together to say ow. And then at the end, so it's very fun that, so I have a lot of little tidbits.
Cool. I love that. Super
the A
fun.
and the U, oh, they're in love. Just fun little ways for kids to remember, the vowels and the sounds they make. Because once kids unlock the success of the vowels, their reading soars.
Right.
It's the vowels that give them the hardest time. So, so there's a couple of little fun things in there as well.
Yeah. Well, I love that.
Let's go to YouTube. I have a bunch of videos on YouTube for Circus Vowels. So.
Cool. Well, circusvowels.org. This is a fantastic tool. I love it. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be with me on the podcast today.
Kris, thank you so much for having me. This was such an honor, and I feel so blessed to be a part of the show. It's wonderful.
Well, you're very welcome. And I'm really glad that our friend in common, Nina, who also works for me, connected us.
Yes.
And it's great to know that you're an Ohio girl and have done amazing things for kids in this world. So I love that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just hoping to continue on this path and just help, I just need to get it out there to all these kids. Like, hey, we are teaching, it's too hard. We're not teaching them right. Everybody, hard stop. Let's reset.
Let's reset.
Let's reset.
Yeah.
Think about how kids learn and how we can create, things that help them learn,
Now we just have to master how to get this for math.
Yes.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Circus numbers. I see it.
Numbers. Exactly. Because that's what my daughter, who's now a senior in high school, would want, because she's an excellent reader and writer, but she's always struggled in math. So anyways.
Left brain, right brain,
I know. It is. It's one of those things. Well, Jodi McMaster, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. This has been a great discussion, and have loved getting to know you and all about Circus Vowels. So thank you so much. And thanks to our audience for being here for another amazing episode of Childcare Rockstar Radio. Just love that you guys tune in and you come along on this ride with me. So thanks, Jodi.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Bye, everybody. Take care and God bless. Bye. I hope you liked this episode of Childcare Rockstar Radio. If you did, please share it with someone you know and help spread the word to your friends in our industry and on social media. Childcare business success is my passion, and I am honored to be on this journey with you. As a thank you for listening, learn more about how to grow your business and make more income with our brand new free quiz, the What's My Number One Income Killer quiz, exclusively for preschool and childcare owners. Take the quiz today at childcarequiz.com to discover what your number one income killer is and how to solve it. Take care and God bless.